this particular flavor, caramel, although it is not doing much of a sale by itself, it helps boost the sale of other products. I started picking up petty jobs, any kind of hustling jobs. So I have distributed pamphlets outside a railway station. Ultimately, it's your business. So obviously, data should always be there to cross check and to counter argue your decisions. There was no proper ecosystem wherein we would call ourselves a startup and we would look for an exit. But that happened to me. So, and we appointed Ernst and Young. They valued my organization, and we did a exchange of money, and all the rights were given to them.
Good afternoon, everybody, and welcome to yet another podcast on business networking with Vipul Bondal on Thinky Talks. So, I have a very good friend today with me on the podcast. So it's going to be great fun as we have a friendly discussion on a very interesting topic, if I may use the word, because this topic has always interested me over a long time. Uh, and he is one guy I've always asked a lot of questions. He will vouch for that. And very interesting things happen when I speak to him. So please allow me to introduce Vishal Chopra, who's a data analyst. Vishal has over 20 years of working experience, and what he says is he has experience in running successful method oriented operations and taking initiatives for business excellence through process improvement. His strong analytical skills with deep expertise in the application of big data and analytics. His services are sales analysis, process automation, financial analysis, MIS reports, and process document. He's worked with some very exciting companies like Netflix, Coca-Cola India, and Inox Movies. He is a graduate from the London Business School, and if there is one person I turn to on anything related to data, it is Vishal. Welcome, Vishal. It's a pleasure having you here on the podcast.
Thank you so much, people. Pleasure is all mine. I'm equally excited to be here.
So Vishal is with currently also helping the World Economic Forum on a lot of things related to big data. So we'll ask him what he's doing. Of course, there would be a few things which he can't tell us because of obvious reasons. So leaving all of those things out, if there are things he can share with us, it will be great to know what's happening. So, Vishal, let me begin by asking you something which has always been on my mind. I've, of course, asked you privately, but I'm sure it's there on the mind of a lot of people who are watching this. We keep hearing these words: big data, data analytics, and so on and so forth. Uh, for a lot of us who consume business media, these words are more common. So can you help us understand in simple language what this means so that we can kickstart the discussion from here?
Yeah, sure, certainly, Vipul. So, big data refers to any massive volumes of data, which gets generated every second, and that took maybe from, a lot of time from multiple sources. It could be social media, sensors, transactions, a lot more data that keeps coming in from different feeds. Uh, it's not just the size, but also the complexity and the variety of this data that makes it big.
Okay.
So I'll just give you a very clear, a very simple thing. If you just fly, so I've traveled a lot to London for my work. I've traveled a lot to Geneva for my work. Some people even travel further down to US. So it's a long haul, what we call it.
Right.
One single flight, from which is a long haul flight, would easily generate data up to 1000 GB.
Okay.
That's the kind of data, the volume of data which comes into play, and so those data can then be understand. So the sources could be, the weather data, the met data that comes in, the
Right.
size of the payload that they have, passengers in there, the kind of accessories and equipments that adds up to the weight.
Right.
Based on this, the computer does a lot of permutation combinations. They run those numbers in detail,
Right.
trying to make the flight more fuel efficient,
Correct.
make the flight more safe, avoid any turbulences or any risks that may come in the process of flying.
Right.
So, data analytics, on the other hand, so this is the process for examining this data to
Right.
uncover patterns, correlations, and insights.
Okay.
It's about turning raw data into some actionable information that businesses can use to make informed decisions. In essence, it's like, finding a needle in a haystack, but with the help of a lot of powerful tools and techniques that makes the process efficient and insightful.
Okay, okay. I think I have understood a little bit of what you said. So maybe as we go along, it will become a little more clear. But basically, what you're saying, it's gathering, processing a whole host of data points, and then arriving at the right decisions that help you achieve an objective. So in this case, the objective is for a flight to reach from Mumbai to London, for example. So
Right.
how to reach in the safest, most convenient, most fuel efficient way,
Absolutely. And
and
in the
using data
shortest
to
possible
analyze
time.
in the
Absolutely.
shortest possible. Okay, great. So, tell me, how did you get into this? I mean, I'm sure when you began your career, this was not something that
Huh.
was there.
So my career has been with lots of highs and lows, and each bump had its own experiences that I could learn from. Fortunately, for me at least, I call it fortunately, I started working at a very early age. Immediately after my standard, I had to support my family.
Okay.
So I started picking up petty jobs, any kind of hustling jobs. So I have distributed pamphlets outside a railway station. I have been a part of exhibitions to collect visiting cards of the visitors, asking them to fill in the guest book, handing over catalogs, so and all. In fact, I have even done a couple of gigs which involved me gathering all the college friends of mine, taking them for a shoot. So they would become the crowd behind the movie scene,
Okay.
in a college scene or something of that sort. From all that, life became little stable after my 12th standard when I got a job offer from Shopper Stop at Andheri West.
All right.
So that's where I did my first, so to say, internship. So during my and that supported me also for my education. I could pay my tuition fees comfortably. So morning I would attend the college. Immediately after college, I would go to Shopper Stop, help the team there in merchandising and all. It gave me a lot of learning experience. It showed me how a corporate actually operates. So that was a big step for me there. Things actually changed for me after my graduation when I got exposed to a investment bank called Lehman Brothers.
Right.
So I was a consultant to them on a third party payroll. So this is where my data analytics, understanding dashboards, working on data is where I that was the job that helped me realize the importance of this. Apart from this, I think it also began out of curiosity and a desire. I wanted to make sense of so much of information that was available, especially in the banking sector. So I started so my career automatically started in that role, which helped me, which actually got me involved into handling a lot of data.
Right.
Gradually, I realized the power the data holds in shaping business strategies. So we would help them. We would help Lehman Brothers in making a lot of business strategies and business decisions,
Okay.
taking their positions or exiting from certain positions. Unfortunately, the bank collapsed in 2009, and left with no other choice. I also did my MBA during that time. Still, I couldn't get a decent job for what I was expecting. So left with no choice, I ventured on my own. I started into timber, laminate, building material kind of supply in India. So being from a corporate, I was trying to make these things very process driven, which was new for
Right.
the industry, so to say. But it
Right.
helped me scale up my business. Also, it helped me, bring that kind of value that I could do for the business. Successfully ran the business for a few years. We were doing a decent size turnover. I got an offer for a buyout, so I said yes to that. It wasn't a startup culture at that time. 2000. This is 2010, 12, 6, 14, and all. There was no proper ecosystem wherein we would call ourselves a startup and we would look for an exit. But that happened to me. So, and we appointed Ernst and Young. They valued my organization, and we did a exchange of money, and all the rights were given to them.
Okay.
Post this, basically, being a data guy, Lehman had always told me what the value of data is and how you should take more informed decisions.
Correct.
I got into a consulting role where I help organizations make sense of their own data. I help them make better decisions, informed decisions, which can drive growth. It can drive efficiency for them. So that's all. And so long, I'm doing pretty fine. I'm very happy with the kind of clientels that we have,
Right.
and very happy to help businesses learn a lot of things actually in this entire process also. Being a consultant myself, I find it very interesting, intriguing a lot of times, when we come across a lot of insights which we very find it, which I in particular find it very difficult to absorb at first sight. I said, how is this possible? What logic would it make? But data is never wrong. So this is where we are.
So as they say, data is never wrong. Just the way we look at it can go wrong at times, and therefore we
Correct.
end up making all the wrong decisions. So, what exactly do you do? I mean, if you can just kind of, crystallize this and how that is beneficial to your client. If you can explain maybe with a couple of examples, that will probably help us understand it better.
Sure. So basically, so my role involves collecting the data, processing it, analyzing the data. The end result is that you extract valuable insights from it. So my expertise lies in identifying those patterns which are hidden inside the data.
Okay.
These insights will help businesses to make informed decisions. It could be to optimize their operations, enhance their sales, improve their working capital position, help them manage their inventory better. It more so, as a blanket rule, generally what we generally say is, it will help you even anticipate trends to a certain extent. So you are well prepared for the future. I'll tell you. So I work for a client in the retail industry, who struggle with high inventory, and it comes at a very heavy cost.
Right.
So just by analyzing their sales data, we were able to identify specific behaviors, of customers, of particular inventory. This allowed us to optimize our stock levels, how much stock to keep, at what store, how much inventory to maintain at the warehouse.
Right.
This is how, and so overall, when it took us 2 quarters to optimize, understand all these things, analyze the data, get optimized operations executed, and show out their results. So after 2 quarters, we could easily see a cost reduction of close to 20%, and that too while still we are meeting all the customer requirements, all their demands. So these things happens once you start making use of the data, once you start taking more informed decisions. So another example, very classic one. So one of my client, they're one of my old clients. What they came up to me was, we are losing a lot of our old clients. They were a 100-year-old organization. Grandfather started, then passed on the baton to the son, and then he passed on it to his son.
Right.
And they realized, yeah, the family has increased. We have more offices. We have higher capacities now. And they are purely into trading. So it's all a relationship business. But they realized, yeah, there were businesses which were doing B2B. So they were doing B2B businesses. So like they
Right.
were having certain very good valued customers with them, which were there 20 years back, 40 years back.
Okay.
No more working with them, although they are still there in the market and they are doing sizable business, but not with them anymore.
Okay. Okay.
It was a very new challenge for us, because this is not something which is very common, although it is common for people to face.
Correct.
But I have never seen a ready-made solution made for this. So what we did was we tried to identify what are the signals that we can capture from their existing data
Right. Okay.
to help them gauge, how many clients we feel, they should be flagged red at this point of time. We see very high risk of they getting out of the business with them. So now we do this exercise every quarter for them. We flag them to a 12, sometimes 4, sometimes 8 clients, which we feel are red flag clients, where we feel that these clients may are on the verge of getting completely out of business with them. So it's a good time to call them for a dinner or for a tea to their office, spend time with them, understand what are their pain points. There might be one or two cases where they were not happy, something would have triggered certain things. So that is the right time for them to mend the relation, and then they can continue
Continue.
with the same client. So this has helped them, approximately we see Earlier, they would lose, we just, when we try to identify close to 40, 45 clients every year, which
Okay.
is now come down to 12 to 13 clients per year. So,
Who need to be looked into, kind of.
correct.
And this can be done proactively also, right? I mean, once you are able to see the read the tea leaves, as they say, then you can take action proactively on many of them.
Absolutely. So the idea was, so for them also, instead of losing 40, 45, 50 clients a year and trying to build new ones, which will take enormous efforts, enormous spend of money, sales team have to do multiple visits. There are clients who are already there with them. They've done years of business with them. Why lose them?
Correct. And this can be done at all stages, I guess, at the sales process end. It can be done in terms of profitability, and it can be done in all stages of your life
Yes,
cycle of the business.
absolutely true.
So, you know, there have been several examples that we've spoken about, and particularly, is there some consumer trend stories that you can tell us? I mean, for example, in business school, they tell us a lot about these case studies where beer and diapers are placed next to each other in a retail outlet.
Right.
So we don't know whether it's diapers that are, adding to beer sales, or beer sales adding to the sale of diapers. But I believe when they are kept next to each other, they're generally seen that the sales of both increase. So are there some interesting ones like these that you've observed in your career so far?
Yes, yes, there are actually quite a few actually. So most of the clients that I've worked with, there's always one eureka moment,
Okay.
wherein we like, oh, it's like that. So that's it, no. Of course, if it's a solution driven challenge that we are trying to resolve, then it's an aha moment for us. But a lot of time, when new insights come into the like, oh, okay, this is also something that needs to be, assessed or analyzed by us. So, initially when we were working for F&B team, So I had one of the oldest clients again of mine, so they had multiple flavors of brownies that they sell in
Okay.
the market,
Right.
extensively available in Mumbai, Pune, and the nearby locations. And of course, they ship to other parts of the country, but then those are in at very limited places in terms of availability. So what we realized, they had like a good 16 to 18 flares around the year that they would have, 12, 13 being the regular ones, and 5 to 8, they keep coming up depending on the season or the fruit or flavor of the month, so on and so forth. There were one particular flavor called caramel,
Right.
it was a underdog. It didn't do very well. The sales were pretty low. I mean, I feel it was probably one of the lowest flavor that they had.
Okay.
And the management was very clear they wanted to close that flavor. That was the point of keeping inventory, making it half the time the products comes back as a return and they dump it. Doesn't make any sense. So more so even I was pretty much in agreement to them because like if something doesn't work, then it doesn't work. Although
Correct.
the product was very good and it was doing phenomenally well in the international market by other brands.
Right.
But for some reason, Mumbai market was not accepting this particular product.
Okay.
When we tried to cut it down, we realized that there were a lot of other flavors which were getting hit all of a sudden. So this is when we started deep diving into the data. We tried to compare it with different parameters, and we realized that this particular flavor, caramel, although it is not doing much of a sale by itself, it helps boost the sale of other products.
Okay. Okay. That's
So
interesting.
just by mere keeping it on the shelf, it helps you sell something else.
Okay. That's very
Yeah,
insightful.
it was very intriguing for us, and frankly speaking, to this time also, I don't know the science behind it. How can some caramel as a flavor can influence the decision of buying Nutella flavor? It doesn't make any sense. But data is data. It is showing that this is how it is reacting on in the market. So such insights keep coming up to us a lot of time, which is like an wow moment.
Okay. Can we take a question or two from the audience, because there's a few questions which have come on the group.
Sure, 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 sure.
Okay. So Lavanya Singh has a question. Her
Okay.
question is, what's a recent trend in data analytics that you believe will significantly impact businesses in the near future?
I think one very clear that I have been trying to understand is video analytics. It's an extension of data analytics where
Right.
lot of retail stores, lot of consumer facing brands, consumer facing businesses are trying to understand. There's not much of a play uh, there left. Of course, the lot of rules have are and laws are already in place now. They don't capture the face, or they don't try to search you by your face, but they try to see the your behavior in terms of how much time it took for you to check out, how much time you spend at a particular shelf, or looking at a particular kiosk.
Okay.
These are the kind of things which are really really coming up, and businesses are taking a lot of interest. They are focusing a lot of their energy on these things, trying to gauge how a consumer is behaving, what is working for them, what is not working for them. A lot of times, certain ads do really well, some ads don't do as well.
Correct.
So, it gives them very quick way to, make a decision, and an informed decision whether to continue running that ad or not running that ad, whether to keep that kiosk at that position or to, replace it with something which is more worthwhile. Retail is a big cost for brands. It's inventory for the people who own it. It doesn't make any sense for them to lose money on it. So every week, every day matters,
Right.
and these kind of decisions really really help them to save a lot of money or to make a lot of money.
So, Vishal, one of the things that has happened is technology. Technology keeps changing. We've seen things change rapidly in the last 10, 20 years, especially with things like AI and other things coming in. So, how has been, for example, we used to walk down the street and book, hail a cab. Today we book a cab in advance. Everything that we do, there's not a single thing today, I think, where technology is not involved.
Right.
So, how does that happen? And, how do you look at this from a data analytics standpoint? Uh, you know, is more data helpful to you or not helpful? How does I mean? I don't want to preempt your answer, but if you can just tell me how you look at this.
Okay. So see, from data analytics standpoint, this is like technological evolution is very exciting, and it's equally challenging. The more touch points we have, so like booking cabs, or you said even online shopping for that matter, a lot of data gets generated. This data becomes the gold mine for businesses because it provides them insights on behavior. It gives them insights on preferences, what are trending in real time, how much time a consumer is actually behaving, or how much time a particular consumer is trying to take to book your Ola or a Uber from one destination to another, whether you did it on the first go, whether you waited. So they start calculating, okay, this is a more value conscious buyer. He's now trying to see in multiple applications, will if an auto will cost so much, cab is gonna cost so much, Ola is charging you so much, Uber is gonna charge you so much. So
Right.
all these things become, these data points become information for them to understand and make these real time decisions, how it is to. So if you see the pricing of Ola, Uber, they are very dynamic. Lots and lots of algorithms are running behind the app, which is trying to influence the business for them, trying to make you look like, this is the most value for money proposition that you have in your hand, in your phone, and you should immediately just, here book the ride.
Correct. I know. I think you're right because there was a time when I used to check out the price of a Uber ride from one place to another place, and I would check the same on my son's mobile. And I typically found that his mobile, maybe because of the age being mentioned and all that, he would have a lower fare than I would have. So then what happened is I started booking it on his mobile. I think they figured out after a little while because a few weeks down the line we started getting the same fare. So,
So
it's quite possible that they might have observed this as a trend with several people and figured out that it's not the child but the parent who's doing this, and then they started maintaining it. When two people book, and from location, etc., they can figure out. Is something like that at play? Do you think?
It's actually it's a constant race to stay ahead. So whether it's Ola, Uber, they're just trying to be as competitive as possible. And whoever can effectively harness this data, they'll have a significant advantage. So here also, I really don't know if they realize that it's a parent or a child thing, but for them both are consumers because both are having an app on the phone installed and two different profiles.
Right.
What clearly helps me as a business to take a decision is who is a immediate booker. Since on your phone you have already seen the price and you're still keeping it on hold, whereas on your son's phone you have immediately booked the ride. It means this particular consumer is a quick decision maker. He is immediately booked it. Might as well give him a price, which is a
Yeah.
short deal.
Yeah, possible. I mean, I'm sure there are lots of.
There are multiple algorithms which run. Of course, this is just one instance that I've given you. I'm not even sure if this is actually the
Yeah,
instance,
I'm just trying.
but
Yeah.
there are so many data points that they'll capture,
Right.
and they'll have to make immediate action on those things.
So, Vishal, big companies. I mean, you work with some of the biggest of them, Coca-Cola, for example, or Netflix. These guys use data big time because you watch a particular kind of movie and you get similar recommendations.
Recommendations,
They know
absolutely.
exactly how long you're going to watch it and so on. So, these guys take a lot of decisions based on data. And as a consumer, one can figure these out as you go along, because you watch a particular kind of movie, they'll keep showing you recommendations for similar movies and so on. So that's for big companies because they really take decisions on in that form. But when it comes to, let's say, smaller companies, business owners, small companies, how do you think they can? Because then I'm sure they generate a lot of data themselves without really knowing that they're generating a lot of data. So how do you work with these smaller companies? How do you actually begin by asking them how to capture data? So what is the process there?
So see, whether it's a big business or a small business, the data generation is still the same. They will obviously generate data. It could be so that smaller organizations are not so conscious about the data, so they are not actively involved in storing the data or analyzing. Of course, if they're not storing, then they'll not be able to analyze it also. They are not so data savvy, I would say.
Yeah,
Of course, there are a lot of organizations which are not even very tech savvy. So, of course, with digital media going very strong, with a lot of processes are going digitized in terms of payments, in terms of transactions, in terms of invoicing, recording your accounting, bookkeeping, and all. Having the data is not so much of a problem these days as it used to be, a couple of decades back. So data is available, at least some data is available. So
right.
I generally help a lot of organizations which were not tech savvy earlier or which were not data savvy earlier. We help them understand what they really need to start collecting in terms of. I'll give you a very funny example. So my client came to me when they came to me, they said, we know the importance of data. Data is like oil. He used all the internet words. Data is the new oil and it is the new gold and everything. I said, very good. I was very happy to know that. Okay, so this guy, I don't have to tell him the chapter one. He already knows chapter one. The data is
Chapter one पता है हाँ.
that. So he said, okay, very nice. बोला कि we have customer का phone number, we have customer का full address, entire office address. We have it on our record. We even have their pin code.
Right.
Please help us analytics on this. I said, what will the phone number do in terms of analytics? What will your pin code number do in terms of analytics? These numbers are not relevant even. We had to go back to square one, help them understand what data is where we need to start looking at. We need to understand pattern. We need to understand behavior of their customers. We need to understand the behavior of the staff towards their customer with the help of this data. How
Right.
early they are able to close a transaction, or
Right.
how how much upsell they are able to do, what kind of a value add they are able to give in a single transaction to their client, so that the client become more loyal. कि आना है तो इनके पास ही आना है, because they will give you me, they will actually give me a more value for money. So customer in and this is purely into trade. I have not even touched upon social media interactions, website analytics, which can open new doors for them. So especially for organizations which are planning to go, online, in terms of selling, in terms of managing their inventory, and for them, social media interactions, website analytics, they come a big play for them.
Correct. Correct. So it actually begins by getting the right systems, if I may use the word, in place to capture the data and
Correct.
then be able to analyze it and automate it if possible to get some sort of
Absolutely true. So,
insights.
correct. So actually, sometimes people get confused कि यार, we don't have that kind of budget to buy expensive softwares and all. How are we gonna collect these kind of data? I give them a very simple solution. You don't need to buy any expensive software. All you need is a very simple computer system, which will have just a very basic Microsoft Excel in it. It will serve the purpose. All they need to do is, just collect relevant data points. Collecting irrelevant data points will not give them any
No.
value add. They just have to start collecting relevant data points. Based on those data points, we can help them identify key matrices that they need to really look at. What should be their performance indices which they need to focus on. We start analyzing and even helping them acting on the data. What opportunities are there where they can improve. This will eventually help them scale up, because once they have these kind of insights available to them, they're able to make decisions faster. They're able to make more informed decisions. So the probability of they succeeding with those decisions are much higher.
So, I mean, what you're saying is making a lot of sense, Vishal. But typically the way people look at businesses, or entrepreneurial way of thinking is gut feel, instinctive. You know, Entrepreneurs are known for being uh, those guys who take decisions based on their instinct. And I mean, the good thing is very often they are, the gut is right. So, and this seems to be a completely different way of taking a decision, which is a data driven decision, which might actually be contrary to the gut at times. So, do you see that shift happening? I mean, do people take decisions, good decisions based on data and of course, if it supports the gut, no wonder. I mean, it's a win-win. But otherwise, do you see that happening these days?
So I see, personally speaking, I am a big fan of business owners who follow their instincts. Hats off to them. They have the guts, they have the courage to make bolder decisions. But yes, this mindset is definitely changing. Because uh, you now have that option available to have decision making which can be backed by the data. So it's like you are adding a layer of security, adding a layer of support, to your choices, or to your gut feeling, to your instincts, so to say. So I generally don't tell most my client, I don't tell my clients to, just stick to the data. They should obviously take some decisions based on their instinct. Data is only there to support that decision. In some cases, obviously, you will see that data is really saying not to go ahead with that. Then you need to, take a step back, cross check your facts first. Maybe you have missed out on one important parameter which might change the whole scenario.
Right.
uh, you know that see, many and entrepreneurs are still getting accustomed to interpreting the data. It is not very easy. It doesn't come naturally to a lot of people. Another
Right.
challenge is time, the resources which is required to set up an effective process. You need to start collecting the data in the right way. You have to do a lot of cleaning of the data before you can start analyzing it, which is time consuming, energy consuming, at times money consuming also. Additionally, there will also be resistant to change. You just cannot, overnight expect ki boss, I've been working throughout my life for instincts, and from next day morning, Monday has come, I can't just, get into it. So there has to be a blend, you slowly start blending your data and your instincts together. Automatically, you'll realize that your instincts are also getting aligned with the informed data patterns which are getting highlighted or which you are seeing in your businesses.
So we'll take a audience question at this point because it's this question
Sure.
is much in line with what I wanted to ask you next also. So this question comes from Vinod Deshmukh. This question is: in your experience, what are the most effective methods of predicting emerging trends from historical data? What are the effective methods in predicting emerging trends based on some data that you already have from history?
So, effective, I wouldn't know. So we generally have a very technical term, what we call it as confidence intervals. So we try to see how much confident the result is coming at.
Okay.
But there are many statistical tools, regression being the most commonly used. But I personally find it very satisfying to use. Although with the complexity of data getting increased, obviously we have to go for more advanced uh, logics or more advanced statistical tools to work around it. Most of the things that generally that I have seen is, we generally try to see the past historical uh, trends which have
Right.
been growing. COVID being little biased, where you try to avoid it. That's what generally I tell my clients, because predictions, whatever people could do before COVID, they will not be able to do it anymore.
Right.
So there's been a lot of ups and downs. COVID being one particular instance where a lot of businesses were disrupted. Some really did phenomenally well, came out of it like no one could. Whereas some got absolutely bankrupted. So, keeping that aside, generally it's a good thing to keep 5 to 7%, or your country's rate of inflation. Keeping that in mind, you can start understanding how things are going forward. Industry trends matters a lot also. So it's just not only keeping only inflation in mind, but keeping your industry trend. If your industry is growing at 20%, it's a safe bet to take. Combined effort of say 7 to 8% and 20%, a good 15 18% is a safe bet to play
Right.
on.
Okay. So, so in terms of trends, as you said, what are the so COVID being one thing, COVID changed the way, forget gut, but even the way data started emerging, you said has changed. So, what are some of the big ones and some of the small trends that you see that are shaping the way people are analyzing data and also taking decisions? I mean, in your experience in the recent past, what are some of those trends that you noticed?
So one what you see everywhere, even on the internet, even on a lot of social media platforms, is the increasing use of AI and machine learning. So this is a game changer for data analytics, because now these technologies are enabling businesses to make more accurate predictions. Plus they go much deeper, at scale. Another trend that's going, which is actually side by side, I would say hand in hand, is the real time data analysis, where businesses need to react to the challenges almost instantaneously.
Right.
So let's say, how things are going around and how things are moving, and businesses need to take immediate decisions. So like in case of flights, or in terms of aviation industry,
Right.
decisions needs to be taken up on immediate basis. If there's a weather change happening few nautical miles from your position, you'll have to immediately take a course change
Correct.
of course. So these are the kind of things which AI and machine learning is helping them to do at a much faster scale and on immediate and prompt basis. At this comes like a more on the industry ground. When we see at little at lower level, micro level kind of a situation, where then there's a shift towards more user friendly tools which are making it easier even for non-technical people. You don't need to be a data scientist to start understanding or harnessing the data.
Right.
You can use simple Excel build dashboards, use very simple Tableau or Power BI kind of softwares. Not very difficult to learn. You can take up a YouTube video, learn it in a few hours, and you can do your basic work. I mean, it will you may not become an expert on it, but you'll be able to do your work
Okay.
pretty okay with few tweaking here and there. So that is helping at ground level. Even students these days, they are learning so many things in detail. It is becoming very easy for them to help businesses, especially people who are students who are from the family businesses. They can get involved and help the businesses understand their data better.
On a lighter note, Vishal, I mean, I wish, and there are two specific areas where I hope, professionals are able to get the data analytics right. One is the weatherman. Invariably, whenever they say it's not going to rain, it rains, especially in the monsoon these days. And the other way around, when they predict rain, you can be sure it's not going to rain that day. So one is the weatherman, and the other is our exit poll. Almost invariably, they get it wrong almost all the time. I mean, I don't think they've ever got it right 100% of the time. So,
Two extremely poles apart
yeah,
concepts, I would say. Weatherman, they are improving. I wouldn't say that they are so if you see, they've been able to predict things in a much better fashion. Accuracy of the time, because weather itself is very unpredictable.
very
You
unfair.
can't really tame the nature. It will behave in its own unique way. So which is where the complexity increases big time. Exit poll is something which is very random. I really don't want to get into the details of who
No, I'm
conducts,
sure.
how they
I was just,
conduct it and
I was
all.
just saying,
So the
now,
authenticity, yeah, of course. So that is a different. I think it's a business for them. So more than anything else, I think it's a TRP game more than anything else.
possible, yeah, because it's almost reached the point of hilarity. How they get it wrong every time.
Every
So
At least
anyway,
they
so
are consistent in one thing, being
so,
wrong.
yeah, so I remember once we'd gone to New York and we watched the weather report and said it's going to rain from 9 to 9:15 in the morning, and uh, and predictably, being from Bombay, me and another colleague, we didn't take our umbrellas, and it rained. And when we reached the office, they said, "Didn't you see the weather report?" We said, "Yeah, but we didn't believe it." Therefore, we were drenched by the time we reached
Correct.
office. So these things happen in a very
Right.
funny way. You begin to know what to trust and what not to trust.
Absolutely true.
So Vishal, I'll ask you. I mean, the main reason why you're here today is the fact that you're a business networker yourself. You indulged in uh, very formal business networking. You were part of BNI for a while, hopefully soon again, and you've done active networking. So if you can walk us through your journey as a business networker and how it has helped you in your business.
So business networking, it has been very instrumental in my professional journey.
Right.
Being a part of BNI and other forums also, they've allowed me to connect with a lot of like-minded professionals. We could share knowledge, discover new business opportunities. Networking is not just about exchanging business cards.
Right.
It's about building relationships, creating that value for others. Now, a lot of time, I've seen people get into networking for the wrong reason. So either they need to unlearn what they have wrongly learned and then start again, or they're gonna have a tough time understanding how the logics will work in the game of networking. But over the years, these connections which I have built during my whenever I get a chance to network, it has led to a lot of collaborations, referrals, even friendship for that matter. I mean, I don't know. So, if you got a chance or was it played or not, today a very close friend of mine from a chapter gave a presentation,
Yes.
and I was asked to give an audio note. So,
That's
although I can't be a part of BNI anymore due to my travel plans. I really can't get into that the system for the time being. But being into that networking has really helped me understand, the value that we can generate and the value we'll automatically derive from it. It's a process.
So, and also, well, you were in BNI for I think a couple of years, if I'm not wrong, 2 years. And
Yes.
at that point in time, you had also taken up a leadership role in the chapter, in our chapter. And, how did that experience shape you? Because, being leading a chapter of, what we call as equals, all of us are business owners, so none of us are subordinates in that sense. How did that help you in your business journey?
So, taking a leadership role, I think it's a transformative experience altogether. It teaches you teamwork, it teaches you communication, how you can lead by example. And so here in networking, you are basically managing a group of professionals. They all come with diverse skills and personalities. So this basically requires, so especially for me, it required me to be more adaptable and more strategic. This is a skill that directly translates into, how I manage my own business. So, so in a way, it has even helped me in reinforcing the value of accountability and commitment, both to the team and to my clients. So this experience has helped me, to grow as a leader and as a business owner, allowing me to navigate, with a lot of challenges, with greater confidence.
So, Vishal, I had asked you for an hour of your time. We are almost 50 minutes into the hour. So, I have two last questions. I'll take one from the community, which I thought was particularly interesting. So, I'll ask it. So, it comes from Asad Sheikh. His question is, how can businesses balance the human element with data driven decisions? I think what he's asking is, are there instances where intuition should override data?
Ultimately, it's your business. So obviously, data should always be there to cross check and to counter argue your decisions. You should always, I mean, this is what I always tell my clients, you should always follow your gut, your intuition, because that is the driving force for your business. Data should be there as a layer of, security, as a layer of confirmation, where you are trying to, do some decisions, act in a certain way which is backed by the data. So gut feeling cannot be undermined in any businesses, because the businesses are driven that way.
And one last question, if you permit me. So, what would be your advice to entrepreneurs who want to take up data driven decisions, and also to our young community members who are looking at making a career in data analytics? Is there something you would like to ask? So there's a question from Samir, which is on the line. He says, do you think there's a promising future for those choosing to pursue a course in data analytics? So since this question was similar, I just thought I should ask you the same. So one is, of course, your advice to young entrepreneurs who probably didn't indulge in data-driven decision making till now, and also to young students and others who want to look at data analytics as a career. So it's a two-pronged question, but if you can.
Right. So, I mean, for young entrepreneurs, my advice is to start integrating data into your decision-making process. And this could be as early as possible. You don't need to get into business also. You know, you may be taking. I'm not saying that it is not so. So even when a student is trying to pick a college, he analyzes the data. He may not want to call it formally a data analytic process, but he's analyzing where the university stands, who are the professors, what is the ranking, who are the top alumni. So these are all data points that they are analyzing. So, even smallest of these data sets, they will give you very valuable insights. But I know, as even asked by the previous participant, don't be afraid of taking experiments. You need to take experiments, you need to learn. The key is to stay curious and open-minded. So, this will help you, do experiment also. but at the same time, keep that layer of data-driven decision making, which will help you counterbalance. For people who want to make a career into data analytics, my advice will be to build a very strong foundation. Preferably, if they can do technically, very good. It will help them. Business understanding is a must. They need to understand how businesses are run, how decisions are to be made in a business. What is a sensible decision to make in a business? What is a not so sensible decision to make in the business?
Right.
Certain decisions may look like, it will avoid a loss, but it may, have a very long term repercussion, which may, end up losing a client.
Right.
So, these kind of things need to be understood when you're doing a business. Data analytics is not just about crunching number. It obviously is a major part of it, but it's also about translating data into meaningful insights. This is what will drive the business. So, they have to obviously stay updated with the latest tools, trends. It's an ongoing, ever, lifelong learning is what we used to call it in BNI. It's
Right.
a lifelong learning process here as well,
Right.
because technology keeps evolving, trends keep evolving. You have to stay on top of it.
So Vishal says that uh, you know business analytics is not just about number crunching, but to be able to get out the right insights so that you make the right decision for your business. And he says use data as a tool to either validate your decision, support your decision, and of course, in the worst case, question your decision also. But take your decision based on your gut feel, is what he says. And on that note, Vishal, I would like to thank you for sparing the time and being so open with your replies. I know a lot of things that you say you're not able to, some of the examples we would have liked to have from some of those exciting companies that you work for, but I understand there are confidentiality reasons why you can't share. But I will nudge you privately for some of those information. Okay,
Yeah,
so
some things are better discussed over coffee.
that's right. Okay, so thank you. Thanks for the time, and I look forward to interacting with you in person.
Definitely, Vipul. Pleasure. It was a pleasure talking to you.
Thank you.
Thank you so much.